Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our Heavenly Father, recalling Psalm 128, we celebrate this special occasion with a word of thanks and gratitude for blessing us. After a couple of harsh years with the pandemic, with a chance of finally conducting this ceremony, putting all between your hands, we're thankful for this blessed week, for this whole year, where we come today into your presence as graduates, administrators, teachers, staff members, families, and loyal friends of this graceful academy, rejoicing and reaping what all have sown, reaping love, kindness, and devotion. We ask that you grant our gratitude and graduates with your blessings, providing them with your wisdom as they depart into a new life with various goals in mind. Help them, O Lord, in carving out their future that will always glorify your name. Keep them, O Lord, under your care and always embrace Lincoln Academy with your steadfast love, care, and support. All glory and honor are his, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Archdeacon, for those wonderful words. Good evening, folks and parents and friends, assembled graduates. This is the Baccalaureate ceremony for the class of 2022. Today is an opportunity to sit back and reflect. Baccalaureate is that time for you to spend some moments thinking about yourselves, your journey, your friendships, the time that you spent together. Tomorrow, we'll celebrate you and wish you on your way to the next steps in your future. Tonight, we have an opportunity for you to hear from speakers that you selected yourselves as a class and help you get through that process of thinking about the relationships and the friendships of which you are going to hopefully connect with, but you will certainly move into a new phase in your own life. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome to the stage a senior English teacher, veteran English teacher, Patty Sims.
Hello, you wonderful class of 2022. I am honored to be here, but I honestly was really afraid to accept this request in fear of disappointing you. You've been such an incredibly talented, diversified, and gifted group of young men and women. And I don't mean that in an academic sense only. So I pondered, what in the world could I possibly say that would impact you the rest of your lives, much less these last few hours that you have here at Lincoln Academy? Anyway, I agreed to speak. And now it is up to you to pick out the sundry literary allusions hidden throughout. This is your last pass, so don't fall asleep and don't float off into the metaverse. Before I share my thoughts with you, please look around and see who is here. Of course, yes, your friends, but many of your teachers and your parents. They are the ones that have been with you. They have been your cheerleaders, the ones who cared about you getting where you are right now. We teachers shared your passions and your talents, and your parents and their spouses, significant others, extended family, and all the other members who were caretakers of you since you were born, lost sleep when you were sick, were beaming when you lost your first tooth, and bit their nails when you were doing your driver's license and hoping that you were going to park that parallel parking just perfectly. They're the ones that coached you. They're the ones that cheered you at games. They're the ones that pretended not to be anxious when you were on your first date, or coming in late from your curfew, or furious when you got in serious trouble and received detentions or worse consequences, when you were too cavalier about your grades. Yep, those are the ones that are sitting out here. They love you and they're proud of you and proud that you are sitting right in this very spot that you're at. But they're also very eager for you to take your next step. Remember them, they're here for you. But enough about them. This night's about you. So let's talk about you, mostly 18-year-olds, some not nearly there, some that have already passed that number, magical number of 10 and 8, or if you're in single columns, 1 and 8, if you desire. That 10, according to an online scholar, is the number that signifies a cycle of life that has just ended and a new cycle that has begun. The 1 and the 0 are reunited, whereby energy has taken its full course and transformed or stayed the same. And from another source, the 8 and the 1 is the achiever, the measurer of life by the goals that it reaches. It is good business sense. It is a powerful presence and a strong drive for success. It is also a symbol of balance, a balance that hopefully all of you will achieve in your life. So when you put all this together, 18 has garnered a power that has some lasting significance, not only for yourselves, but for humanity as well. You've just ended this cycle of your life, and you are at the brink of beginning a new cycle of another life. You're going to be using these amazing abilities that you have. These wonderful qualities confluent with so much potential that it boggles the mind. I thought that I would share 18 points tonight with you, one for each one of your years, but don't worry, I couldn't do that. I found myself blending all these points together, and in doing so, I ended up with 9 points, but don't worry, 9 is another very strong number. It is a cardinal number, a number with the highest value representing wisdom, experience, and buzzes with energy at the end and at the beginnings of a journey. That's you, 9 times 2. So carpe diem. Seize that opportunity, those opportunities that are waiting for you. Perhaps, Mabel, you'll remember some of these, but certainly you won't remember this speech 10 years from now, and probably a lot less. So before you get too serious about life, you know what I mean? The mortgages, the taxes, the insurances, the properties that are movable and stationary that keep you tied down from adventure. Make these points part of your soul, your being. The first is to travel. Travel any way you can fit it in. Abroad programs, taking a gap year, internship, visiting friends, backpacking, staying in hostels wherever it can be the cheapest and most affordable. But just wander, to meet cultures beyond our borders, to learn a little language, to communicate, to see lands, unique lands, unlike our own beautiful state of Maine, to discover history that you only knew from books before, only broadens the impossible experiences that you might have. And those experiences that heretofore you only vicariously learn by a screen. So go snorkel, Discover the turtles in the Caribbean islands. Trek the highlands of Machu Picchu. Hike into the Victorian Falls. See the antiquities of Greece and Rome. The Egyptian pyramids. The Wailing Walls. The glacial fjords. The Mexican cenotes. Do a cross-country of our own beautiful continent. It doesn't matter. Go. Travel. Nothing in life is free. We need to understand that everything bears a price. So ask yourself, is this desire to obtain what I want worth the price? Or is that desire something that's going to be destructive to me? Having said that, master technology, but don't let technology master you. Look up. The most meaningful conversations happen in person, eye to eye. Reading the body language, connecting that tone with place that it was conceived. Person-to-person conversation in personal life or in businesses is irreplaceable. Text, emails, letters are not as good as that handshake, that hug, that pat on the back, that friendly kiss on the cheek, that presence of a sincere smile. Relationships take work, and you need to be attuned to that person, not the device. Talk less. Listen. We were created with 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we need to be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, and slow to react. So when we truly listen, instead of forming our ideas, how we're going to reply to someone while they're speaking to us, we open ourselves to a world of others' ideas. We may not agree, and we may not share those ideas, but there is always something to be gained by listening, and something that we might use to build our own castle. We become myopic, tunnel vision, closed off to the plethora of possibilities if we are just hearing words and not listening to the meaning that was said. Take risks, but analyze the risk first, making sure that it meets your goal and doesn't endanger your life. If you put yourself out there, if you never put yourself out there, you will never know what you can accomplish. The worst thing that can happen is that you'll fail. But what will you learn? You'll learn that something doesn't work and you'll make it better the next time. Shakespeare's foolish Polonius advised his son, "To thine own self be true." Yet he met his own death being wise in his own eyes. So initially that advice sounds really profound and interesting, but in reality it can't be. It came from Polonius. Shakespeare was illustrating the folly of setting one's own bar. We don't have to set our goal, our bar, very high to reach it. We don't even have to make them have values that are worthwhile. We can certainly be true to ourselves, easy, if we set that bar right there. What the bard was really trying to tell us was that we should have a model. We should have a mentor, a higher power, who sets that goal just a bit higher than we're comfortable to reach. We have to work a little bit to attain that height. It's okay, though, to squirm a little and to be a little bit uncomfortable and not always be successful as we strive to make that mark, not set by ourselves, but with one who has more wisdom and experience and insight to our human nature. Somebody who knows what we really need. We need to trust that that bar is not impossible to reach. Yes, maybe just a little hard to achieve it sometimes, but not impossible. Treasure your roots. Don't forget who you are and where you came from. Your roots and stories and everything that belongs to your heritage, that too is real history. Learn it, Start by asking questions from the people who are alive that can still give you the answers. I have regrets that I didn't record my uncle when he came, his wife came, and he came to visit me, and they started talking about what happened to my grandfather in the 1928 stock market crash. I had no idea that my grandfather owned the big pink building where the Ringling Brothers once had their headquarters in Sarasota, Florida. The property was lost in the crash. But I wish I had paid closer attention to the details, and better yet, had recorded them. So much of those stories are lost with my uncle and that generation. So you dig into the net if you must, but follow the leads, learn your past. Be proud of that blood that runs in your veins. The world is in a bit of a messy place right now and needs repair, and you will not be its savior. But you can help fix it in small ways by contributing to that coin slam that went to the Ukraine, by helping out that 92-year-old neighbor and turning over the garden plot that's so dear to her, hanging the bird feeder next to the window, volunteering your homes to refugees, immigrants, sharing the comforts of your faith in hopes of a better life, recycling and caring for our earth, willing to do community service that awakens goodwill among the onlookers. And you never know what the seeds of inspiration you have planted in their minds while they were watching you do that. Do these things and ask nothing in return. Greater rewards are garnered and run deep when you expect nothing from your actions. Cast your bread upon the water, and it will come back 100-fold. So, of course, you know I'm not talking about little bread, real literal bread, as it just disintegrates in the water. But bread is nourishing substance that when you cast your efforts upon the sea of humanity with no expectation of return, your actions just might come back to you in other ways, wonderful ways, unknown ways, unexpected, beautiful ways. Teach not, be humble and selfless. In our narcissistic society, that is continually a challenge. Yet there is an amazing power in a sincere, I'm sorry. That was my mistake. Please accept my apology. Saying those words are not easy, but those words are healing, even if we're in the wrong. Who cares if we're right and wrong? Who is counting? Who is keeping a tally? Nobody's keeping a tally. So the real humility is the courage to face a person that's offended and make amends. The power is in the peace and the goodwill that results. That brings me to perspective. Looking at the shades of an issue, not always having the absolute right answer or action, that's okay. The world is not black and white in nature or in nationality. So why would it be any different in so many of our actions and decisions that we make? The important part is for all of us who are part of this humanity to understand the nuance of meaning and action before making a judgment, not making the judgment on the letter of the law, which is often done by scholars who often don't really know the people they are affecting, or the intellectual, or the powerful bully who intimidates us into making a decision that we otherwise may have not made, but make decisions on the spirit of the law. That means understanding the nuances, the critical issues, not having the attitude that just because there's a nail that was created to have it be hit, that we take a hammer and hit it on its head. No, what nuance means is that we occasionally must challenge the known and find the shades of meaning in the unknown. And maybe there's a better match and equally as effective for a situation. Finally, learn. Be a lifelong learner. You don't need to be in a classroom to learn. Learning means growth and is the backbone of families, communities, and the countries. Learning is not always academic. There's personal growth, professional growth, spiritual growth, social growth, and on and on and on. Whatever kind of opportunity there is before you, take it. Never stop learning because life never stops teaching. You may be asking, why should I be remembering any of this? Why are these 9 points so important for my 18 years? You're 9 times 2 because you're the darling buds of May. You're beautiful. I knew I'd do this, guys. I couldn't get through a classroom without it. So, yes, you're beautiful inside and out, every one of you. With incorporating all these 9 points, these potent points, you will have much more to give, much more to touch other people's lives. Summer's lease is all too short. So don't waste your time. You are at your summer's peak, the peak of your lives. Go, muster the courage that your 18 years is known for. Be the activist, the humanitarian, the caretaker, the tempered scholar, the artist, the explorer, the inventor, the navigator on the land, on the water, and the sky. Whatever is your calling, just go do. Be the amazing people that you have become. Show the world the stuff that you're created, and as you do, I will be one of the many that's here in this little Damascata, Maine, that is cheering you on. Use the wind behind your sails and be on your way to your next cycle with God's blessing and Godspeed. Will Sharrow is going to speak, your class president.
Alrighty, thank you, Ms. Sims. The purpose of tonight's ceremony is to reflect on our past 4 years as students at Lincoln Academy. There is no doubt that our school is a special place for us all. For some, it is where siblings, parents, and grandparents walked the halls years ago. For others, it is where new friends and passions were discovered and where the old was left behind. As the class of 2022, we were the last to experience a full year of normalcy at Lincoln Academy. Our freshman year allowed the class to become fully united as a community. Our unity was quick to be proven, with the class placing second in the Faculty Shield competition in 2019. Not too shabby for some freshmen. Together we experienced homecomings, winter carnival, and whether we liked it or not, a true finals week. In the spring of 2020, all of that was interrupted. When we heard Miss Duffy's slightly ominous announcement over the loudspeaker, nobody knew what would come next. However, this class did not dither when so many others went dormant during the pandemic's early stages. I bore witness to classmates who continued to put in the work, individuals who used the lack of normalcy to their advantage. During a time when everything was flipped upside down, our classmates discovered and honed their passions, whether that be drawing, working on the water, or even machining parts. This hard work continued into the school year in the fall of 2020. Only being in school 2 days a week allowed students to continue their hard extracurricular work well into the school year. Our classmates became increasingly independent and steadfast during the hectic time that was 2020. Despite the end of our junior year and the changing of the calendar to 2021, we were not yet out of the woods. This year has been full of ups and downs, and after the inconsistency of last year, with the school split alphabetically, there was some worry that the class would never fully come back together. However, I believe that it is safe to say that this class has made a full return. We became closer friends with those we went to school with, and were all the more appreciative when we finally got to see everyone else. As a senior class, we did not yield and got right back to work. This year we won the Faculty Shield competition, winning both homecoming and winter carnival by a large margin. However, Mr. Page's inter-class competition was not all that we succeeded at. As we saw last week, our class has remained active academically and athletically, where we had over 20 seniors inducted in the L Club and another 30 received Eagle Awards. And while those awards quantify success on the playing field and in the classroom, I can guarantee you that there are members of this class who do even more behind the scenes. The moral of the story is that each and every member of the senior class should be proud of their accomplishments in and out of the classroom. However, I can assure you that in achieving those accomplishments, particularly the ones in the classroom, you have been helped and supported by a member of the faculty at Lincoln Academy. So I ask that everyone here takes the time, either after tonight's ceremony or after tomorrow's commencement, to thank a member of the faculty who has been particularly impactful. They are what make Lincoln Academy a special place. So I'd like to thank you for letting me speak tonight. It has been my privilege to be your class president for the past 2 years, and I'm proud of this class and all it has accomplished. Next, Garrett Martin.
See, page 21, page 22. Oh, here we are. Good evening, class of 2022. Yeah, let's hear it. Good evening, class of 2022. All right. When I was invited to speak to you tonight, I thought, surely there must have been a mistake. I'm the guy that tells people to run. Heck, most teams use running as a punishment. That's hardly the profile of someone people are willing to pay good money to see. Luckily, you didn't pay anything tonight, so you're stuck with me. Before I go any further, I want to get one thing out of the way. Running is an extremely technical endeavor. We humans have only been doing it for a little more than 2 million years. So clearly, without me, no one at Lincoln Academy would be able to successfully put one foot in front of the other nearly as fast as you do. But honestly, it is an honor to share this evening with you. Thank you, class of 2022, for the invitation and for giving me another reason to stay up past midnight working on your behalf. Now, while I'm here, you ready for this, Maddie? I need a little help completing the lyric to a song that has become an anthem of sorts for this year's graduates all over the country. Help me out, class of 2022. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling yes! The script says let's try it again, but I don't think we have to. You nailed it. Thank you. And for those of you living under a rock the past 10 years, that's a lyric from one of Taylor Swift's most popular songs titled 22. There's wisdom in that song that I'll come back to in a moment. For now, I'll just say, it feels like a perfect night. Thank God somebody laughed. I can assure you my daughter did not. Baccalaureate is a time of reflection. Your last chance to take stock before crossing the graduation finish line. Tonight, I'd like to reflect on how building and being part of a community can yield big results. I'd also like to share some observations on how each of us can help build and strengthen communities in ways that not only benefit us, but can have lasting benefits for generations to come. My father-in-law occasionally asks, how hard can it be to coach running? I mean, don't you just tell people to run a little faster? In a manner of speaking, he's right. But look beneath the surface, and there's so much more going on. And I can tell you, having seen Josh Berryman run a 4x1, there's a lot going on. The beauty of coaching running is that most people can run. Josh. It is a challenge of choice that rewards those willing to put in consistent work over time. Luckily, many of you have taken up this challenge. In fact, more than 1 in 5 people in this year's graduating class has been a member of either the cross-country or track teams. That's phenomenal. And another 1 in 5 of you has run the other direction when you see me coming to avoid my attempts to get you to run. So by my count, that means I've gotten at least 40% of this class to run. I don't know about the rest of you, but I suspect you found other places to run. But in all seriousness, what would prompt more than 20% of you to join a running team? I think the answer is simple. Your parents made you do it. Now, in truth, there's something else at play. We've worked hard over the years to build an inclusive and supportive community that people want to be a part of. It is this spirit of community that has helped draw people to the team and is fundamental to our success. We have a saying on the cross-country team. What matters most is not where you finish, but rather how far you've come from where you started. What matters most is not where you finish, but how far you come from where you started. That's true not only at an individual level, but for the team as well. 8 years ago, we started with a team of 18 athletes. Last fall, we topped 60 and can claim multiple conference championships, including Grace Houghton, Margarita Fairfield, Reed Goulden, our first ever girls championship last October. We also have a state championship and numerous sportsmanship awards from the past several years. We have team members who had never run before, who are now on their way to becoming lifelong runners, including, I hope, Archdeacon, your son. But community just doesn't happen. It's built over time. And when community happens and people feel part of something bigger than themselves, success usually follows. In the spirit of reflection, take a moment to think about all the ways in which the Lincoln Academy community is built. From the original founders of the school in 1801 to generations of workers and volunteers who have helped build these facilities, maintain the fields, and create spaces to gather like the one we are in tonight. These are the bones, the structure of community. And I think oftentimes they're very easily overlooked. But anybody who knows Bill Teal and his crew knows how much they worked to provide a foundation and a structure in which we can all succeed. Then there are the rituals and traditions, the things that Mr. Page helps nurture and sustain. The activities and events that add flesh to the bones. As Will mentioned, COVID has wreaked havoc on many of these. Canceled sports seasons, virtual community meeting, in-person community meeting, outdoor community meeting, and back again. But they are essential. And finally, there are the people and relationships that give this community life and meaning. Friendships, caring teachers, supportive parents, and more. They are you. And you are the heart of this community. Now, like a runner who must work consistently over time to build a strong aerobic engine, a strong heart, the strength of this community hinges on the efforts of everyone here. We all have the potential to be community builders. But here's the challenge. The magic of community doesn't happen by accident and must be constantly nurtured. Building community takes work. Tearing it down is much easier. How many of you all can relate to the experience of having painstakingly constructed a tower or a sandcastle, maybe one that you were particularly proud of, only to have someone else, I'm the youngest of 3 boys, an older sibling, playground bully perhaps, step in and demolish it in one fell swoop? Kind of stinks, doesn't it? That's what can happen when the structures of community get torn down or vandalized, when the traditions and rituals are no longer honored, when the people and relationships are trampled upon and cast aside. Where community is concerned, you are either helping to build it or you are not. I urge you all to reflect on those moments where you are actively helping to build community and those moments perhaps where you miss the mark, intentionally or not. We all have them. I can assure you, my record is not perfect in this regard. Sometimes I harass people like Josh Merriman, and it hurts his feelings. And sometimes he loves it. How we doing, Josh? All right. So, what are the 3 things you can do to be part of the solution? First, be a community builder. Strong communities are defined by the willingness of their members to pitch in and help out. There is no end to the ways you can contribute, big or small. This is way better than being a demolition expert. Second, seek connection with others. Ms. Sims alluded to this. COVID has torn at the fabric of this community by limiting our ability to establish and maintain relationships, especially with people who aren't like us. Rather than retreat to our respective silos, we must work even harder to connect with and appreciate that more often than not, we have more in common than we think. As a trained mediator, I can assure you that very few conflicts ever get resolved without people being in relationship with one another. Finally, cultivate a sense of gratitude and an awareness of the contributions of others. I'm grateful for that. So cultivate a sense of gratitude and awareness of others, especially those who came before us. So like many of you all, I grew up in a small rural community. What just happened is not foreign to me, believe it or not. I stand on the shoulders who came before me. My father grew up in poverty in rural North Carolina. He lived with his parents, but had it not been for the orphanage down the road, where he got most of his food and clothing, and the engagement of committed teachers who recognized his potential and helped him secure a scholarship to a nearby college, I wouldn't be standing before you here today. In the spirit of gratitude, I want each of you to take a moment. Think about the people and the institutions in this community that helped get you to this place. Maybe it's a Little League coach, an elementary school teacher, your first employer, a librarian, a friend or a classmate, your parents, a grandparent. Perhaps it was someone who told you something you didn't want to hear, but made you better for it. So take a moment. So now I'd like to ask you to stand up, class of 2022. Thank you, Grace. Find one person here who has made a difference in your life and really look at them. Find them. You can step out of the way, you can get a line of sight, however you want to do it, do it. Make eye contact. Now say thank you. You're doing great. Be seated. Six pages down, 6 more to go. Just kidding. All right. The sense of community in Maine and here in Lincoln County is powerful. So don't ever take your connection to this place and people for granted. There we go again. I'm not sure if it's building or tearing down, but it is what it is. Let's roll. So don't ever take your connection to this place and people for granted. I love it. I love it. I mean, really. What would only make this better is if he had 22 pumping on the music, coming down, right? And believe me, Sullivan Anderson is my witness. The first time he ever got in my car with me, he couldn't believe I had a country music station tuned on my dial. So I know what I'm talking about. All right, so anyway, don't ever take your connection to this place and people for granted. Remember, you did not get here on your own, but rather as a result of the community builders who came before you. Also, know that this community is here for you now and in the future. I love it. I love it when alumni come back and join us for a practice or a run. And in some instances, actually coach people like race walkers better than I could. It's a great thing. So you're almost across the finish line, but as we say in track, run through the line, not to it. Keep working to build community, connect with others, and express gratitude. Ultimately, it is these acts that will see you through and make it possible for you and those around you to come farther than you could have imagined from where you started. So this brings me back to T-Swizzle. We're all searching, striving to find our place at Lincoln and beyond. And as her lyrics remind us, quote, we're happy, free, confused, and lonely at the same time. It's miserable and magical. Now, honestly, that could be an anthem for almost any high school student or class of 2022 graduate. Just remember, more often than not, the magic happens in community with others, and you play a very important role in making that happen. So best wishes to you all. Send any younger siblings my way. May you continue to be a source of community and light wherever you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett, Will, and Ms. Sims for those wonderful comments. We're going to close our ceremony out tonight before we ask our marshals to march the class out with Pastor Beth Hood.
I have had the honor of standing here before, but it is a particular honor and joy to stand before so many of you who call me Nana. Yours has not been an easy or typical 4 years, but it has been a time in which to discover yourselves. I have watched many of you transform in 4 years of challenge and discovery, and I am elated to join you all in celebrating the lives and the accomplishments of the Lincoln Academy graduating class of 2022. A humble beekeeper from New Zealand named Edmund Hillary arrived in Nepal to usher in one of the defining moments of the 20th century. Alongside his climbing companion, Tenzin Norgay, Hillary became the first man to reach the summit of Mount Everest, the highest point on Earth, nearly 30,000 feet above sea level. Reflecting upon his Herculean accomplishment, Hillary famously said, "It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves." Plato said, "The first and best victory is to conquer self." The profound wisdom of the ancient philosopher and the experiential knowledge of the modern explorer remind us that our path to self-discovery is an introspective journey of creativity, possibility, and empowerment. To fight onwards means to fight inward. Remember, it's not the mountain that we conquer, but ourselves. And the first and best victory is to conquer self. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, made this observation of the prisoners: only the men who allowed their moral and spiritual selves to subside eventually fell victim to the camp's degenerating influences. Be true to yourselves and to your purpose in life. Standing on the edge of possibility, we pause to drink in the deep sense of accomplishment, pride, and hope of this very moment. Go forth to do the good work set before you. Be tireless. Seek the common good. Love and nurture the people and things you value. Attend to your work with integrity so that what you believe may be what you do. And when you feel as if you might become defeated, think back on today and know that you already have accomplished much. May you be blessed, and may your lives be a blessing to all.
Will? Will? So can I ask Will and Addie to lead the class of 2022 out? Thank you so much. A little louder. Great. Thank you, guys. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
It's fun.
The other questions, did Sullivan know who that was?
Probably. That's a very identifiable.
I was going to say, right. About amazing things are